City Council regular meeting, Wednesday, October 18th. The time is now 7:02 p.m. This meeting is called to order and a quorum is present this evening. Right now, we will stand for invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you join this meeting today and that you recognize the community that is here. People that are striving to be one, to help one another grow and change and learn, to help one another with their problems and to celebrate their successes. I ask that you would give judgment and resolve, and that you would bring your hand of love and mercy. In Jesus' name, amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comments. Non-agenda item public comments, which is the white card. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda related topics for a length of time not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Agenda item public comments, which is a yellow card. Comments will be taken from the audience on non-agenda and agenda items combined for a length of time not to exceed 5 minutes total per person on all items except for public hearings. Comments on public hearing items must be made when the items come before council and not to exceed 2 minutes per person. No action or discussion may be taken by the city council during public comments on non-agenda items. To address the city council, please complete the white or yellow card and present it to the city secretary or designee prior to the meeting. First up, Mr. Kirk Loman. Mr. Loman, you have 3 minutes.
All right, thanks. So I came here to kind of talk about the PUD amendment in regards to Lexington Street and 290. Understand that this is the second time that this amendment's been tabled. Not sure the reasons why it keeps getting tabled, but I was at the planning and zoning meeting and there was a lot of information that wasn't presented to them, so they weren't able to do their job on this matter. And so we've heard that there's been no zoning changes to that PUD, but there is. And so, you know, that the property that's right behind McDonald's was labeled W13B. There's no zoning related to that on Maynard's website. So, and it wasn't labeled that before that date as well. So until we got our first public notice in August, that was actually supposed to be a resort conference center, which is actually zoned RC1. And so now that it's showing W13B for that piece of property, something changed, even though the city attorney said nothing has changed since the original date. And so, you know, since this has been tabled a couple times, don't know when this is actually going to come up, but this information should be presented to where people know that zoning has been changed for that property, but the public is being told that there isn't any zoning changes. And so, you know, with that, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that there was supposed to be a second public notice sent out to the public in regards to that pub or that PUD area. And no, that notice hasn't been sent out yet. And that notice was supposed to further explain what changes were being made to the PUD. And that still hasn't been sent out yet. And so I think the community is not being told everything. They're being told that this is how it always was, how it always will be. But that's not true. There's plenty of public maps that show what the previous zoning was. And so, like I said, it originally was supposed to be a resort conference center, and now it's shown as multifamily right behind McDonald's. And so, you know, I don't think anyone that wants to live in the Shadowglen neighborhood wants a apartment complex feeding additional traffic onto Lexington Street and 290. But that's what it appears to look like. And so I was just hoping that when this does come up in the next meeting, that there is more information on what changes are being made and where they came from. And nothing was presented in the Planning and Zoning Commission as far as diagrams, what was on the original development agreement, and what's on the PUD agreement, which supposedly don't match up. So it's pretty much all I had on that, because I just think that traffic on that whole area right there is getting out of control, and it's a huge safety concern. If anyone in the neighborhood needed an ambulance or anything like that, it's going to make it very, very tough if there's additional multifamily housing on Lexington Street.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Mr. Robert Battle. Mr. Battle, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Robert Battle. Yeah, I've been attending the bond issue things and have been pretty disappointed in the kind of the lack of forthrightness and the planning. The notice for the public planning, the whole project seems very rushed. I think it's about 50% more money than we should spend. The idea of just getting all this money and then putting it in a giant slush fund and then figuring out where things are going to go and what we're going to do and where we're going to put them, it seems utterly bass-backwards, so to speak. This is a historic district. We don't want a parking lot on the homestead of James B. Manor over there by the Lions Club. That's ridiculous to put 400 apartments there, 1,500 people. That's utterly asinine. You guys are not protecting the cemetery from the townhomes being built on top of graves. I've shown you pictures of those. It's Hispanic. You do a Hispanic proclamation and a Black History proclamation, but you go ahead and want to put townhomes on top of graves there. That's utterly ridiculous. You guys can't even fix the sidewalk across the street from here, and you want us to trust you with $300 million. No, it's not 170. You really want 133 more. You published this 300 million. What I want to talk about especially is the fact that I asked relatively nicely for there to be a procedure so that citizens can apply for 370,000 approximately of community program funds that are in the admin department, that has been in the admin department for 3 years, and you guys have not even come up with a procedure to apply for them. In other words, you can't even design a form for us to apply for community program money. It's not, this is not in a savings account. I want to put something in Art Park. I call it Art Parking Lot. I want to put the Harriet Tubman mural in there. We're going to need about $30,000. And I want to apply for that. Now, when I asked for that request and I sent the city manager a letter, an email, you, sir, are supposed to respond to me within 3 days to an email request. Are you aware of that? If I send an email, you guys are all supposed to represent me as a constituent. None of you have answered my emails in like 3 years. I know I asked tough questions. So I'm going to ask you again right now, sir. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to send you a certified letter. I want a procedure to get that money available to the citizens to do community programs. Right now, there is not one activity in town. Not one. We had one, the bocce courts, and you guys destroyed them. You actually believed the mayor and sent me a letter calling the bocce courts a public health and safety hazard. It's horizontal boards laying flat on the ground. Then you took out 2 scoreboards that we were using because they were so dangerous, and you put in a different score pole there. Not a score pole, just a pole, calling them multi-use amenities. What the hell is a bocce court for a multi-use amenity? There is no such thing. That's total BS. And I'm tired of you guys punishing the whole community just because we don't like Robert. We don't like Robert. You know, this really gets old. Now, as far as Bell Farms and the townhomes go, I really appreciated the Planning and Zoning Commission standing up tall and strong and proud and brave. We have to realize that the streets are not ready for the growth. That means we hold the growth back until we get the streets. Why are we mortgaging our present for the people that live here in the future?
1 minute, Mr. Battle.
Thank you. It just really seems absurd that every other city around here is like so far ahead of us. And your idea of doing something nice is to put in a regional sewage treatment plant for all of Central Texas? Well, they asked us to do it, so we had to do it. We don't want to be the regional sewage treatment plant. That's not our image. We need to change the image, not perpetuate it. We are spending way too much money bringing development here. Why should we pay $20 million to HEB and Home Depot? They're $300 billion companies. Why did we give $9 million to Barth Timmerman? These companies can pay their own way. We don't need to incentivize them because we have low self-esteem. We need to get rid of the low self-esteem and have pride.
Thank you, Mr. Battle.
Thank you.
Now we'll go into our public hearings. Number 1, conduct a public hearing on an ordinance amending the Shadow Glen Plan Unit Development and being located at the intersections of Lexington Street and US Highway 290, as well as Shadow Glen Boulevard and US Highway 290, Maynard, Texas. Scott?
Evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. We're just recommending this get postponed. Well, you can, open it and postpone it to December 6th. The reason is, as Mr. Lohman had said, after P&Z, there were some additional documents that did allude to PUD ordinance updates in 2001 and 2005, but we don't have those ordinances. We just have that they may have transpired. So we're still trying to research that and get some more back documents and figure out everything that's going on. But again, just postpone to, or open it and postpone to December 6th, please, if you are so inclined.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Pro Tem, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing for item number 1 and postpone, right? Postpone
Mhm.
until December 6th,
Yes.
2024.
Three.
2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong year, 2023.
Motion made by Councilmember Wallace. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Weir. Is there any questions or comments for the motion? Questions or comments? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 2, conduct a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning one lot on 6.17 acres, more or less, and being located at 12920 Old Highway 20, Maynard, Texas, from Agriculture A to Town Home. We call Julie Leonard. Ms. Leonard, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Julie Leonard. I am a commissioner on the Planning and Zoning. I just wanted to give you guys some updates, kind of what happened during the meeting. I was recused from voting because this does abut my property. So you've seen this before. You've seen the petition. I didn't bring it, So basically, the last time that they went, it was about 6 months ago, and you guys denied it. The city also recommended that you deny it because it's actually against the comprehensive plan. So what they did was they split the ask into 2, right? So they took the part that was aligned with the comprehensive plan and they split it out. So they said, let's just go ahead and get this approved so that we can get this going. And then their plan is to request a change to the comprehensive plan for the apartments and the retail up front. So they came in, they tried to act as though they had been making concessions and changing things, but really they were forced to do it because the city wasn't going to support it. So it was more of the same. They haven't done anything really to change it. They haven't opposed any roadway improvements. They're still going to go into Tinker. They're still going to have all the same, no amenities, no nothing. They're offering nothing. So really the planning and zoning spent a lot of time talking it through, trying to figure it out. They really discovered this is the same thing as last time. So they denied it. It was a unanimous vote. I did not vote, but all the other ones did. So, you guys would need a supermajority to overrule that. I'm here to hope that you don't have a supermajority to overrule that because it just doesn't make sense. They're trying to stuff through something that they've already tried to stuff through. They need to go back to the drawing board and think about what the community actually wants there, which is not more houses, more cars in the street. It's just not. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Next, I call Mr. Robert Battle. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you very much. My name's Robert Battle. Just a couple things. It's really bizarre to me that the comprehensive plan is being used as a document by the city. You guys have not even proofread it. It's full of lies and mistakes. So to be still using it to do things in the city, to me, is utterly ridiculous. It should be thrown out and revised, or at least proofread and take out the lies that are in there. Some of the stuff is just totally ridiculous, and I hear the budget being used and justified by comprehensive plan item blah 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 blah, etc. It's horrible. I didn't hear any rationale by the builder as to why they didn't want to put single family homes here. You know, the neighbors don't want the townhome and density. They originally, I think, wanted apartments. What's so terrible about putting some single family homes there? And frankly, one thing I'd like to do with Lexington, West Lexington area could be done there as well, which is a tiny home neighborhood. That's a little higher density, but it's not like apartments, and it's not, 40 units per acre or something. So either one of those, I think, could be justified and earn good profit. You know, some of these developers, they're obsessed with making a fortune off some little piece of property. We need to be, our growth needs to keep in scale with Manor, the city. I pronounce it Manor. I think that's how he pronounced it when he came west in 1832 with Sam Houston.
10 seconds, Mr. Battle.
Thank you. So let's grow in scale and let's learn to walk before we try to run.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we call Mr. Mark Thoman. Hope I said that correctly for you, sir. And you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Mark Thoman. I am a neighbor abutting the development request at Bell Farms, and I'm here to speak in opposition to the rezoning of the lot at 12920 Old Highway 20 to townhome in excess of residential SF1 for the following reasons. The surrounding Bell Farms community, abutting 3 sides of the property, has in the last 15 years been zoned and developed as single-family residential. The current property owner, Samsung Properties LLC, of the 12920 property, is ignoring the precautionary position the original Bell Farms developer had of not purchasing and developing this property and 2 other adjacent properties, allowing for a practical, realistic safety maintenance zone surrounding the underground pressurized hazardous petroleum products pipeline that crosses the property. This property, if rezoned to townhome, instead of the like kind abutting single family, increases density of the neighborhood it creates as proposed. It also increases traffic counts on Old Highway 20, heavily overstressing excessive traffic circumstances on a currently under-designed road, and would create a safety hazard by not having sufficient parking and full-scale city roads easily accessible by fire and life safety equipment to serve the future needs of its residents and prevent potential unnecessary spread of fire to the surrounding Bell Farms neighborhood. Lastly, the City Council should deny this unfavorable request because it shows the obvious density additional revenue benefit imbalance to the proposed developer at the expense of the citizens of Bell Farms and all Manor residents, and potentially offers advantages to the developer for approval of future questionable zoning schemes for the adjacent property along Old Highway 20. Please, City Council, vote no for this request, and on behalf of all the citizens, vote on behalf of all the citizens of Manor first.
Thank you, Mr. Thoman.
Thank you.
there a motion on the floor to close the public hearing?
Mayor Pro Tem Council, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 2.
Motion made by Councilmember Wallace. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Moreno. Right, motion's been made. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Now we'll move on to consent agenda. Number 3, consideration, discussion, and possible action to approve the city council minutes. Number 4, consideration, discussion, and possible action on accepting the September 2023 departmental reports. Number 5, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a wastewater utility easement for Lot 4, Block 55, Town of Manor, located known as 401 Llano Street, Manor, Texas. And number 6, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a wastewater utility easement for Monarch Ranch at Manor LLC. Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Amasquaz. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Councilmember Moreno. Is there any questions or comments?
I have one question. It's with the department report. Is that okay? Sorry. It's with the police. One, I guess I just wanted to say or make sure the response time seemed to be lower than previous months, and I was just wondering what was the change, and then also when was National Night Out again?
Thank you for allowing me to speak on that. The response time really is just sheer luck on our part. It is pretty average for what we see, but for us, getting it under that 2-minute time is great. And that could just be the proximity of the officer at the time of the call. There light traffic, which we probably know that wasn't it, but there's probably a bunch of factors that played into it. But really, it just shaved a few seconds off, and there could have been a host of things that shaved those few seconds off the average. And National Night Out, which we call Manor Night at the Park, is always the last Friday of October. So October 27th. We will be hosting that event. It's free to the community, free food, free events, and a free opportunity to get to know your next door neighbors and the public safety officers and firefighters and paramedics that serve the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, there be none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 7, first reading, consideration, discussion, and possible action on the first reading of an ordinance amending the Shadow Glen Plan unit development and being located at the intersections of Lexington Street and US Highway 290, as well as Shadow Glen Boulevard and US Highway 290, Manor, Texas.
This one we would recommend postponement to December 6th.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone item number 7 till our December 6th, 2023 council meeting.
Motion made by Councilmember Wallace. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Moreno. Are there any questions or comments to the motion? No questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a resolution to authorize the Manor Police Department to apply for grant funds for the purpose of purchasing 2 police patrol canines. Mr. Allen, sir.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, we're going to be applying to canines for cops for 2 patrol canines to augment the officers that we have on shift now. The line item was already budgeted for the care and maintenance and equipment for the canine. This is just for the purchase of the purchase of the dog and the training of the officers in question. And
Do I have a motion on the floor?
Mayor, Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve. Hold on.
Take your time, sir. Number 8.
Make sure I'm reading it right. Mayor Pro Tem Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 2023-34 and authorize the city manager to execute all documentation.
Motion made by Councilmember Moreno. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Weir. Any questions or comments to the motion?
I have one question.
yes, ma'am.
With the grant would that cover all the expenses that's needed for the canine and the training?
All it covers for is the cost of the dog and the training of the officer. So the dogs are generally imported, and then they go through a rigorous selection process to determine the animal's drive and desire to work, and then they go through a training process, and then the officer comes in and they kind of determine which dog best fits the officer's personality and the dog's personality and the officer, and then they go through was it 3 weeks for the officer? Yeah, 3.5 week training course that gets them acquainted with the animal, and then also trains them on how to properly utilize and document the use of the dog.
So definitely it covers a lot of costs, but not all the costs.
Covers a lot of costs, but not all the costs.
Okay. Thanks. We do have dogs in our neighborhood that we can donate.
So with the other costs that's not covered, is that already being, or had that already been brought up for the budget?
We have already budgeted for it in the current fiscal year. So it went before the finance committee and then before y'all at council, and it was approved for this project.
Great. Thank you. Any more questions or comments? None? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9, first reading, consideration, discussion, and possible action on the first reading of an ordinance rezoning one lot on 6.17 acres, more or less, and being located at 12920 Old Highway 20, Manor, Texas, from agriculture to townhome. Scott.
Sure. So this one, as Ms. Leonard has said, the Planning Commission did recommend denial. And the history was that they had submitted before our comprehensive plan as a townhome development with neighborhood business on the front for mixed use with multifamily, like 2 stories multifamily and retail on the bottom. That was recommended for denial. It was denied. They resubmitted after the comprehensive plan was approved with basically the same plan. It was a little scaled down, but basically the same plan. That was recommended for denial because it was inconsistent at that point with the comprehensive plan. And so then, yes, they did break it up. And so now it's just the townhome portion, which is in compliance with the comprehensive plan, because this area, can I have a little quicker? Back. No, you're good. Click. Sure. So this area on the comprehensive plan is designated as neighborhoods, which is single family, 2-family, and townhome type units, ranging from 4 to 12 units per acre. And for us, townhomes are at 12 units an acre. So it does comply with the comprehensive plan. For all of their iterations, staff has always recommended approval. For the second one, we recommended it now because at that point it wasn't consistent with the comprehensive plan. For this one, we are recommending approval, and it would need a supermajority to be approved, but and it is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and townhomes is a higher density. They're proposing about 47 townhomes, and it would have private drive aisles that are 26 feet wide, fire lanes, so you can't park in them. There's a certain amount of parking. They have to have 20% additional parking for guests. And as part of our code, so there's a 25-foot buffer or drainage easement that is already around this property. And then part of our code requires an additional 25 feet as a buffer yard that has to be have evergreen trees planted in it and a 6-foot privacy fence on it to separate further the townhome development from the single family development. But they are required to have 2 points of connection. So they have their main connection on Old Highway 20 and then a secondary access off Tinker, which does stub out to the 10 acres. So it was designed to be a continuation into this 10-acre tract. There is a pipeline, as Mr. Thomond had mentioned. You can see it if you hear that dash line that runs at an angle. That same pipeline goes through Bell Farms, goes through Presidential Glen, goes through Carillon. There are plenty of neighborhoods built around it. There are rules on not putting structures directly on top of it, but you can build adjacent to it. But yes, if you have further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah. Question: has this land been annexed yet?
Yes. So I'm not sure if it was this property owner or the prior one did annex into the city to be able to connect into city services. So that's why the zoning right now is ag for the majority of it, and for this 6 acres that's being requested, because that is the default zoning after annexation. So that's how it has an ag zoning. And early on in the process, they did get about 1.5 acres on the front zoned for neighborhood business, because one of the original, I think this was the first owner before it changed hands, they wanted to put a gas station there. They got the zoning for neighborhood business, but that required a specific use permit for a gas station, and that got denied. And so now the current property owner has been trying to expand on the neighborhood business and do more of a development, which has been unsuccessful. So they've now split it to just try the townhome portion.
Did we ever find out who owned that pipeline?
It's you could look it up on the Texas Railroad Commission. They regulate pipelines. It is functional. It goes down to I think it goes to the Decker power plant.
Is there a motion on the floor? Number 9, is there a motion?
Are all the people that petitioned against this still, do you know if they are still all against this?
We haven't received anything. Like no one's emailed us or called us. There's obviously the residents, the handful that have come here. I forget how many get notified, but there's a lot of people who are notified about this. And you get the handful that have come here to voice their opinions on it and oppositions. And then there's the petition that Ms. Leonard had that has been from the very first iteration of it. So I'm not sure. It's not a petition that's been formally submitted and verified. So I think it has a lot of digital signatures in it and people who just emailed that said they're in opposition. But again, it's not related to this specific case. It's the same one from when it was a multifamily and townhome project.
So on that front end, are they still going to do the commercial?
They would like to, yes, at some point. Right now, they have to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan in order to do that. And my department, we're still working on the application and the process for that. And with that, they actually have to come back to Planning Commission and you all to amend the comprehensive plan to say change it to neighborhood mixed use or community mixed use, and then file their rezoning again, and then go back through Planning Commission and you all, and all of that revolves public notices and
Are they
meetings.
still trying to put a gas station there?
No.
Okay.
That was the original owner before this current owner. The current owner has always been trying to do a mixed use development.
Okay, let's get a motion on the floor first before we start the questioning and comments. Is there a motion?
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we disapprove the first reading of an ordinance rezoning one lot on 6.17 acres, more or less, being located at 12920 Old Highway 20, Maynard, Texas, from agriculture A to townhome.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Amasqua. Now, are there any more questions or comments to the motion?
I'll add for comment, in terms of the options that you all have, you can obviously just deny it or motion to approve, but you can also do any lesser residential zoning. So there's 2-family, SF2 and SF1 that you can also approve on the property. So any lesser intensive residential category can also be approved. So if, as Mr. Thoman had said, anything more than SF1, was for him considering too dense. So you're able to do that. You can change the zoning from townhome to 2-family or single family, SF2 or SF1.
Any more questions, comments? There be none, all in favor? All opposed?
So the motion is to deny.
To deny.
The motion is to deny. Are you in favor or yes or no? Yes. Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so let's start all over again. Okay, all in favor? All opposed?
The motion denied. Failed.
That's 0. Okay, number 10, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a resolution, the City of Maynard, Texas, approving and authorizing the Maynard Heights Public Improvement District Reimbursement Agreement, Improvement Area Number 4. Scott? Oh.
Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members, Veronica Rivera, Assistant City Attorney. Item that's before you is, we've done these before. This is for the PID. Maynard Heights PID is already in place, has been in place for a few years. And we've actually done a reimbursement agreement previously for Improvement Area 3 that you should recall that it just recently came through. Well, this development is going very well, and they're about ready to start with a bond issuance for Improvement Area 4. And because improvements are ready to get accepted by the city, the developer is asking for the city to enter into the reimbursement agreement now rather than when we actually start with bond closing, because normally we bring a reimbursement agreement a little later, but sometimes because again improvements are now ready to be accepted, we bring them earlier than later rather than later. So that is what's going on here for Maynard Heights, and again it's presented for your consideration. If you have any questions.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve of resolution number 2023-35, the City of Maynard, Texas, approving and authorizing the Maynard Heights Public Improvement District Improvement Area Number 4 reimbursement agreement.
Motion made by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Councilmember Amasqua. there any questions or comments to the motion? Any questions? No questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Number 11, consideration, discussion, and possible action on an ordinance amending Chapter 1, General Provisions of the Manor Code of Ordinances to modify Planning and Zoning Commission membership and terms of its members.
Sure. Y'all may recall about 2 months ago, we had some issues with quorums at Planning Commission. And when we appointed a new P&Z member to fill a vacancy, we discussed creating alternate positions. So that way there's less of a chance that we can have, no quorums consistently. And so this amendment to Chapter 1, where it has the membership for P&Z, does that. It just creates 2 alternates and sort of the procedures for those alternates.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Mayor Pro Tem Council, I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 723, amending Chapter 1 General Provisions of the Manor Code of Ordinances to modify the Planning and Zoning Commission memberships and terms of its members.
Motion made by Councilmember Moreno. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Weir. Are there any questions to the motion?
I have one question. Have we not had any meetings since then that have not had a quorum?
Nope, they've been well attended. We've had a good time.
Any more questions? No questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. The City Council will now convene into executive session pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 551 Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained Sections 55.071 and 551.072 Texas Government Code and Section 1.5 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel and to deliberate the purchase of real property. Section 551.071 Texas Government Code and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding structuring counsel compensation, and Section 55.071 and 551.087 Texas Government Code and Section 1.05 Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct to consult with legal counsel regarding the Manor Spring project. And Section 551.074 Texas Government Code to evaluate the performance and duties of the city manager. Right now it is 7:45. The city council will now convene into executive session pursuant to the, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Hold on, I'm sorry. Trying to rush. Sorry about that. All right, the city council will now reconvene into open session pursuant to the provisions of chapter 551 Texas Government Code and take action, if any, on items discussed during closed executive session. It is now 8:47 p.m. and this meeting is adjourned.